Hi, my name's Amanda. I'm an artist and I make what I call short experimental documentaries, and I usually film people at work and people who could be said to be unseen. I use the phrase the low visibility of high visibility jackets, and it's usually people who somehow make a mark that either gets used up or becomes undone and then has to be repeated, and I enjoy the competency that comes from repetition. And over the years I've filmed in all sorts of places and with all sorts of people, like the Hansard rioters at the Houses of Parliament, stonemasons at St Paul's Cathedral. I film with firemen, chimney sweeps, frequently film in factories. I really like factories. And as part of my practice I sort of consider what my role is as an artist and what my responsibility is. And I wonder if art can somehow put things right or redress a balance or draw attention to something. And the films tend to be quite reflexive in that they draw attention to their own construction and possibly in some way their kind of own inadequacy. Earlier this week I went to a sawmill that makes pallets. They make about 300 to 400 pallets a day, and I'm possibly going to have pallets in the exhibition. And I spent the day with them filming pallet production because I think they sort of symbolise something about the circulation of timber. They're mass produced, they're quite humble. Nobody gives much thought to them unless you happen to work in the distribution industry. And I think in the UK we make somewhere like 30 million new pallets a year, which most people are completely unaware of. This is something I did in 2009 when I was working with foresters, felling trees onto old video cameras that I was buying on eBay, the sort of cameras that people can't get the tapes for anymore. And they were trying to see if they could get them to land on the camera. So they were using their skill and judgment to position the camera. And this was a good one. This is one where they got quite a direct hit, and then I've played with it and put it into reverse. So I have the ability, of course, in video editing to push the tree back. And in doing this, it's brought to my attention the whole aspect of production in the forest that I think gets overlooked, because as a visitor the emphasis seems to be on recreation, and yet there's this huge industry going on. And I think there's a kind of nice link with the circulation of film and forestry somehow, and I've been looking more into how the overlap between the two, even through some of the terms, for example crop and cut, which are applicable to both forestry and filmmaking. And wondering if I can work with the timeline in the same way as you work the tree. Effectively the outside of the tree is the most recent event going through to the more historic event in the centre, and then back out again the other side, and using that on the timeline in the video editing. For Jerwood Open Forest, I'm proposing to make 2 short films that will be seen in the forest on a mobile device, and the films will draw attention to the contemporary working forest and the stories and thoughts of the people that work in the forest and in production and in the sawmills, as I am in a sawmill here now, basically. I like the way you get the kind of completely processed wood right the way through, and then you've got the trees in the background, obviously, that are still growing. I asked a man in the sawmill the other day, when does a tree become wood? And he said, it's always wood. One of the films will be called PostProduction. This will involve felling a tree and filming this, and then making the biggest post possible from the tree that's felled, planting the post back where the tree fell. It will in effect be a huge oversized waymarker post, and will be kind of unnecessarily labour intensive. I've been trying to find a sawmill that can make a post that will be about 10 metres long. So much of the production is now automated, and the order goes through from the sawmill straight to the harvester machine, and it cuts it to the length that the production line requires. The film will look at production in the forest, both the production of the post and more widely, and then also draw attention to the post-production, which is a film, obviously a film term, and really refers to everything that comes after the filming process. Post. A long stout piece of timber set upright in the ground. A place of duty. A user-submitted message on an online thread. After in time or order. Production. Bringing forward for consideration, inspection or use. Manufacturing goods from raw materials. Bearing or yielding. Causing or bringing about a reaction. A total yield. The process or administrative management of making a film. Benchmark. A standard or point of reference. The second film is called Benchmark, and that's going to be a film that will be positioned at Delamere Forest, which is the location of one of the Forestry Commission's tree nurseries. And that will involve a bench that's going to be sited in some quite dense but young forest that's yet to be harvested. So there's going to be immense change in that area over the next 10 years, but the bench and the film will remain a constant. And the bench is actually going to be made here in this sawmill where we're at. Yeah, I'm going to be interviewing Richard, this afternoon?
Yeah.
And how long have you worked here, Richard?
26 years.
26 years. Yeah, so we're going to be making a bench as well, I believe.
Yeah, that's all set up in the workshop.
Okay. And do you know where you're going to do somewhere quiet where we can do the interview?
Somewhere quiet around here?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, we'll sort something out.
Okay. All right, fantastic. Cheers. Bye bye. And it's going to be moved from the south to the north, and the film will draw attention to the circulation of timber, because actually Delamere Forest, the nursery, sends out over 8 million saplings a year from that site, all over the UK, but some of which goes back to Alice Holt, so I quite like the way that joins the two sites together. And the film will draw attention to how the nomadic nature of timber. I think one of the things, having been visiting the sawmills and some of the forestry operations, is that the scale of it can be quite overwhelming, and the noise of, those vehicles are always reversing, the machinery is really loud, and just how quickly change can be brought about. And I want to get a sense of some of that disorientation, and possibly how a sense of that it's really quite unsettling in the films. And here comes the forklift with a big, oh my God, I felt the whole pile move then. And that's exactly what I'm saying. But I think within that I want to try and get some of the humanity of the people that are working. I want that to come through, and that might be through their voices and some of the interviews, or it might be through something quite subtle, which is like is happening here now, the forklift truck driver who's extremely experienced, and how he manages to control the load, and the subtlety of that, and just that experience, and how that can come across visually, and just that you're in safe hands somehow. I filmed this the other day. I really like their wood piles, but I know they feel embarrassed that they're not more that they're a bit messy. But they're very aesthetic. I've met some really amazing people, and I'm still filming, and I'm just starting to edit the material and trying to see what it's saying to me, and trying to learn through that, and that's influencing the filming that I'm continuing to do, and I'm just really looking forward to carrying on.